Have you ever worked with a client that you just decided wasn't ready and you feel like you need to cut them loose? Please help. What would you do in this coaching situation?
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey guys, good morning. It's Jen Brocksterman from Prosper Nutrition, and I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. And we're just hanging out in my backyard, and I thought I would do like a nutrition coach's corner. So quite often I have coaches that send me DMs with issues or problems they're struggling with a client. And this was a really lengthy private message, but I thought it was a really great and relevant question around coaching frustration with a client that is just like basically a brick wall. Every idea you present to them bounces off and you're met with a no or I can't do that. So I'm gonna paraphrase and obviously protect the privacy of the coach and the client. But essentially this coach messaged me to ask the question of, have you ever worked with a client that you just decided wasn't ready and you feel like you need to cut them loose? You know, she's working with this woman and then every time she goes home, it's Jekyll and Hyde. So this won't work, that won't work, this is why this won't work for me. You know, I'm a special snowflake. She has this belief that the only way she'll be successful is via cutting all her carbs out. And then this coach has also mentioned that this woman brings up trauma from her estranged, what are you doing, buddy? From her estranged sister committing suicide. And so she's like, this feels like it's turning into a therapy session / I'm just hitting my head against a wall. And so this coach is getting nervous because she feels like this client is gonna maybe quit or ask for a refund or basically is saying it's not working. And the coach is like, I'm basically at the point where I kind of want her to do that because I just am ready and done and I want to cut her loose. So she's like, I'm not sure if that's the right thing to do. Please help. What would you do in this coaching situation? And this is a coach, mind you, that's been doing this for 5 years. And it looks like she's been working with this woman for, looks like 3 to 4 weeks at this point. Show of hands, can anyone relate if you've ever had a client like that? I actually have a team of nutrition coaches that work for me. And one of the early conversations I have with my team is the metaphor of the coaching fence. You know me, I love a good metaphor. So in a client and coach relationship, I think about a fence down the middle of a field, and the coach and client have equal distances to the center point where the fence lies. As a coach, my job is to go 100% to my 50% of that field and get all the way up to the fence. So my 100% is I am always present. I start on time, I'm organized, I know what I'm gonna talk about, or I've done my research for that particular client's issues. Another good aspect of coaching on my 50% of the fence is active listening skills. Sometimes as coaches, we think our value is in talking and delivering and adding more information. And that actually comes a little bit from like ego and just, what's the word I'm looking for? Like coaching confidence that like I have to show my worth by giving you a lot. In a lot of powerful transformational coaching packages, space where you allow the person to talk, you listen, you ask probing and powerful questions. This is also known as motivational interviewing, is really effective coaching. So my job is to be detail-oriented, organized, meeting the client where they're at, holding space for them to talk, asking the right questions, providing solutions that feel client-centered, but really giving them space to explore their issues, their wins, their frustrations, their obstacles. Now, that's only 50% of the coaching relationship. On the other side of the fence is the client's half of the equation. Their job is to choose whether or not they want to show up to the appointments they've booked with you, whether or not they want to do the homework, the nutrition assignments that they're trying to work on under your guidance as a coach. Their job is how much they want to prioritize this piece of their pie of their life amongst all the other factors that have to fit in, right? Whether that's work or parenting or job stress or hobbies or important relationships to them. You cannot expect, unless they're like dog-like sled dog focus, that this is gonna be 100% of your pie. So what I always remember is it hurts the coaching relationship if you try to create a lasso and go over the fence and drag them up to their 100% of their 50% of the ownership of the coaching relationship. What's so cool is if you zoom out and play the long game, think of it a little bit like farming. you are planting seeds in the garden of their mind. So even the information that you're sharing with them, even if they aren't ready yet to take action on it, is still a seed that you've planted in the garden of their mind. Now, grass grows green wherever you water it, right? Harvest comes, you don't pick the apple the day you plant the apple seed. So in a coaching relationship, I have patience. I know that sometimes the day I bring up a strategy or something that I know would be really helpful for their short-term and long-term goals isn't always going to be the day, the week, the month that they're ready to take action on it. That's okay. They're not broken, and I'm not a bad coach, because at my half of the fence, I'm giving it 100%. What's cool is if you can zoom out and take the long-term approach and you remain detached to their level of effort or their level of ability to execute in that moment. A really cool tenet of motivational interviewing is believing that everyone is giving their best, right? Everyone's got competing priorities. And if the priority you hold at the highest isn't necessarily the priority that they hold at the highest, that's okay. They just basically had to make a choice in the fork in the road, and maybe what they needed was plopping on the couch and watching Netflix and disassociating. Not saying that's necessarily the best way to cope with difficult emotions, but at that moment, that is their best. And as a coach, what I'm able to do is slowly start to transfer those skills of healthy eating and exercise and mindset and sleep and resiliency and mental self-talk so their skill set gets better. Let's go back to a sports analogy for a second. If I was a soccer or a football coach and I was coaching a team of house league athletes, I would not expect them to play at the Olympic level. Their ability on the ice or on the field is their best in that moment. And then by continuing to come to practice as the coach and lay out pylons and give them skills and drills to get better, little by little, I am transferring my knowledge, my skill set into them. And over time, they're gonna have practices in their own everyday life where they can take that knowledge and put it into action. Now, we forget, us as coaches, we might be on our chapter 72, and they might be on their chapter 1 or 2. So my advice to this coach that feels frustrated is to do an internal coaching reflection exercise. Of your fence line, are you at 100%? Have you shown up on time? Have you continued to diligently put in the work to prepare for them? Have you held space so they can do, reflective listening exercises, asking good questions, giving them space to talk about things? Sometimes talking about non-food things is what they actually need to talk to you about in that space that you've created. Because a lot of times with things like stress and emotional eating it's about the food, but it's really not about the food. So good coaching is holding that space to talk about that kind of stuff. It might also be making a connection on a book about grief or a recommendation to meet with a great trauma therapist or mental health professional or some other, regulated healthcare provider that can also support in meeting the needs that have come up that you're noticing in the sessions that you have. When you know you've actually retracted from your part of the 50% of the fence is when you as a coach are starting to become angry, frustrated, disengaged, or you're trying to lasso the person and hog tie them and drag them up to their side of the fence. That's actually ineffective coaching. Clients can feel when they're being pushed harder than what their best effort is. So be like a patient farmer. You're gonna keep planting the seeds in the garden of their mind. You're gonna keep delivering value, and value looks different coaching session to coaching session. You're gonna keep watering the garden and have lots of patience and space for them to grow and think about it and apply it in their own time. And on the coaching side, the ability to let it go when the coaching session is over, the ability to compartmentalize client to client, and at the end of the day, putting your head on your pillow and be like, I was a great coach. I did my very best. And then allowing the client the ownership and the accountability to start to tend to the garden on their side. When you've provided the seeds and the fertilizer and the water, they get to kind of set the pace that those seeds are gonna grow and when they're ready to collect the harvest. So I know that's very much a metaphorical answer, but that really helps me have that separation. And For me, where I really had to lean into this skill was when I started to do more eating disorder counseling. Because not only, of course, do I want that person to be well, and I want them to, of course, have a happy, healthy life where this disease doesn't like take over their entire mind and every sort of interaction that they have, I realized that I had a great person on the inside who was also battling against a mental health illness that was very strong. And as soon as I could detach the mental health illness from the person and realize that that was like a big set of brakes that interfered with the person's progress, because I used to lose sleep at night, that I was really worried for their life and their well-being. And I had to, for my own mental sanity as a coach, find a way to have a sense of peace and confidence in what I was doing, even when sometimes the progress was like inch by inch, or we would get a few inches forward and go a mile backwards in direction. And to not feel deflated or like I was angry with them or that I was doing something wrong, the idea of owning my half really, really helped me sort of like get to that next level as a coach. And what's interesting is when I relaxed the pressure on them and myself, the outcome became better for everyone involved. So for this coach that sent me this DM, I'm gonna send you this video as like a little, one-on-one answer, but I just wanted to share this with the entire world because this is a conversation I have in private with all the coaches who work on my team. Know that if you're a coach and you feel that sense of frustration, do what I actually encourage my clients to do when a weird or difficult or uncomfortable emotion comes up. Be curious, be kind, be honest with what you're feeling. And then with that like wise guide, the no inner bully voice in our own head, look at what's happening on your side of the fence with curiosity and compassion. Own if you're at your 100%, and then give that person the space that they're allowed to get as close or far away from their fence. Know that it's dynamic, it's a forward and backwards thing, but hopefully, my favorite phrase of all, better is better, forward is forward. So be able to celebrate the small wins with them, let the losses go, and whatever you focus on expands, right? Where focus goes, energy flows. So I'm Jen Brocksterman. I'm a registered dietitian. I've been doing this for about 14 years. I hope this little one-on-one nutrition chat was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.